You're listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, episode number 257, The Power of Words. This episode is for you if you are interested in having a more positive mindset and you need a little inspiration, or maybe you want to learn a little bit more about the science behind the words we choose and how they really can impact what happens in our life. This episode is sponsored by SYL. And this episode is inspired by a recent experience I had. So I am a business owner, obviously, and so I don't have a traditional 401k, which is, as you probably know, what most people have to save for retirement. So I have something called a SEP IRA, which is available for business owners, and that's something that I set up and organize myself. So it's not like out of my normal paycheck, there's a certain amount coming out. It's something that I actually have to do myself and coordinate how much I want to put in, all of these things. And so I frequently make deposits and I just do it manually. I go on the website and I say that I want to make a deposit. I say how much I'm depositing. And then it asks me a question about why I'm making this deposit. And the choices are, I have expected excess income, or I have unexpected excess income. And I find this to be really fascinating because even though some months I am for sure pleasantly surprised, I got a last minute speaking gig or something came through that I wasn't expecting, yet I always choose the I have expected excess income because I know the power of our words. And so the words we speak are incredibly powerful because they influence our actions, which then influence the results we create in our life. And so if I am going around not expecting any additional income, not expecting enough income beyond paying myself and paying my expenses to be able to invest in my retirement, then I probably will create circumstances where that's what I get, where I don't go above and beyond to put myself out there for those opportunities because I'm not expecting to get them anyway. But if instead I expect that I am going to create excess income, enough to pay myself, pay the bills in the business, and also contribute to my retirement, then I am going to take different actions. Because of that expectation, I am going to do more pitches, put myself out there for more opportunities, maybe take some risks. For example, recording this video podcast. And by the way, this episode is on video and all of the episodes here forward are going to be on video. So if you were one of the people who are loving the video, great. Check it out on our YouTube channel. And if you totally love the audio, that's great too. We'll always have the video available for you. I know for me, sometimes I watch video. For example, if I'm in my living room folding laundry, I'll put it on my TV, just more engaging. But a lot of times I'll listen to audio if I'm on a walk or driving in the car. So you always have the option of both. But that's one example of a risk I took, making an investment to record these episodes. Is anyone going to listen to them on video? Does my audience care about that, right? And luckily we got really positive feedback, but that's not the point, because even if I didn't get positive feedback and even if I made an investment that didn't necessarily pay off, then I would just continue to keep trying and continue to take other risks and learn from my mistakes and eventually create more success, more opportunity, and thus excess income. And so it really is all about the words we choose. And that's just one example of a powerful word that you can choose. And that's an example really of manifestation, because manifestation is all about expectation. So that's one phrase that you can play with in your life, not just for money, but about any outcomes you are hoping for. Create that expectation that they're going to come into fruition, and that will inspire action. In addition, I want you to just do an analysis of the words that you're using in everyday life. And I know we talked about this a couple episodes ago about words that I never say. I want you to look at the words that you consistently say, that you always say. And I want you to think about, are these words supporting where I'm going, yes or no? And understand that if those words are not in alignment with where you want to go and what your goals are, then what will happen is you're going to take different actions and you're going to get different results. And this can go a layer deeper even to our thoughts, which we talk a lot about our thoughts and changing our thoughts on this podcast. And words are a really great place to start, as I've mentioned before, because thoughts are one layer deeper, which can be challenging. So if you just want to work on making a small change, words are a really great place to start. So if you're wondering, well, how do I actually apply this, Jacqueline? It sounds really great. I'm totally on board with the thought process here, but it seems difficult to apply. What I recommend is setting an intention to be more aware of the words after you say them. So you don't have to worry about correcting your sentences and thinking really hard about what you're going to say next. You can actually just show up as your normal self, speak as you normally would throughout your day. And after you say the things that you actually typically would say, listen. Listen to what you just said out loud. Listen to the words you just chose. And in particular, you want to zone in anytime it's related to your goals. So if you are talking to a friend about your fitness goal, what words are you choosing? If you are talking to your boss about your goal to get a promotion, what words are you saying in that conversation about your ability to achieve that goal and what you think might happen? And start to just inspect those words and see how you can maybe modify some of them. So once you have the awareness, then what you can do is you can rephrase. So what I recommend is in real time, in that exact moment, you're talking to the friend or you're talking to your boss and you hear yourself say something that is just not quite supportive. For example, with the fitness goal, maybe you say something like, I really don't think I'm going to make it to the gym this weekend. It's really a busy weekend. We have a lot of plans and I just don't think I'm going to make it. And that's not in alignment with your goal. Maybe your goal is to exercise at least one time on the weekend. Instead, rephrase that sentence and say, you know what? On second thought, I think I can make it to the gym, maybe for a short 20-minute workout on Saturday morning, because that is the only gap I have. And I can really only fit in probably realistically a 20-minute workout, but I'm going to try that on Saturday morning. That is a huge difference. And clearly it's going to change your actions because you're now speaking into existence what you want to create for yourself, the habits you want to stay committed to. The same goes for the promotion example. Maybe you find yourself saying to your boss, I really want to get this role. I really want to become a manager, but it seems really competitive and I don't know if I have enough experience. Instead of saying that, maybe you could say something like, I really want to land this role of the manager, and I know I might not have as much experience as other candidates, but I do think that the experiences I have are incredibly relevant for this role, and I bring something unique to the table because of that. And so you're not brushing it under the rug. I think there's a lot of misconception about positive thinking. A lot of times people think that it is, putting your head in the clouds and not being aware of reality. I actually feel very reality-based in my day-to-day life, and I consistently choose to see the bright side and choose hope. And I find that it helps you acknowledge what is, and instead of letting that bring you down and hold you back, you can actually acknowledge what is and use it as more of a superpower. So how can I use this as a positive note? So for example, when I started my speaking career in my early 20s, I felt like I didn't have as much experience as other people because I didn't. I was young and I had only been doing it for a year or two. And for a long time, I felt really insecure about that. I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough to get these bookings, to get hired for these opportunities. And so I was really nervous putting myself out there. And you can obviously see how that energy was not going to land me the opportunities that I was seeking. And one day I asked myself, what if this thing that I feel so negative about was actually a superpower? How would my life change if I could see it that way? And I realized that something unique and special that I had and the people who had 10 years experience didn't have is that I could connect to college students. I could relate to them. I was in their shoes just a few years ago. And so I started my speaking career speaking extensively at colleges, and I had great success there because of that superpower. And I would actually highlight that in meetings with staff members or students who were hiring me. And today, I have much more experience. Almost a decade has gone by, which is crazy. And now I've expanded that experience to speaking to more professionals because I live and work in the professional world. And while I still speak at colleges sometimes because I really enjoy it, it shows how that progression got me here. And if I didn't get that experience in college, I would never have the experience to speak in the professional world. And if I didn't change my mindset, I would never be where I am today. And it goes back to the words we say, the words that I was saying not only out loud to others, but also to myself. And that's where thoughts come in, right? Thoughts are words that we're saying in our own heads. And sometimes our thoughts are unconscious and it's on a loop and we don't even know we're saying them. But other times we are thinking out loud about our fears. We are spiraling in negativity and fear about what could go wrong. We don't want to get our hopes up because we're afraid that we're going to be let down. But the truth is, it's always better to have hope and be let down than it is to have fear and be proven right. And that's something that I talked about in the episode Hope versus Fear, which was a couple months back, where I shared the story of being in the hospital with my son, Michael, and he was constantly failing these fasts that he had to get. And one night I said to myself, you know what, maybe I should just not get my hopes up because I've been so disappointed every time he fails. And so I decided to just expect the worst. And I was right. He didn't fail the fast. And I have to tell you, that was my worst night in the hospital. I had the lowest amount of resilience. I truly felt like I couldn't get through one more day at that moment because I didn't have hope. And hope allows us to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel and we are getting closer. And that is so powerful. So even though it might feel scary to change your language and choose words that are filled with more optimism, those words actually propel you forward in having more resilience when you fail. So it's not to say we're not going to fail. Hope doesn't mean that failure isn't something we'll all experience on the journey to success. Rather, it means that we are more equipped to move through that failure. So I hope this episode has been an example for you of how you can start to change your language and how the language that you choose in everyday conversations, as well as the words you speak to yourself, really matter. And small tweaks of those perspectives can go a long way in actually changing the results and circumstances that you create in your life. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you have the most amazing week, and I will catch you in the next episode.